Hello, good morning, and welcome to Morning Brew here on Labour Social. I'm Graham Hughes, and it is Wednesday, the 17th of April, 2024, which is lovely. It's a very special birthday for one of my very special people in my life. So yes, let's celebrate it by all having a good laugh at the fact that Farage, Orban, and Cruella, three of the people I hate the most, were ejected from a Brussels venue yesterday for being Nat-Cs. Yeah, Nat-Cs, National Conservatism. Nat-C. Also speaking at the event were people like Herman Tertsch, who is the leader of, I think he's the leader of the Spanish fascist party, or far-right party. Can't call them fascist now, can you? Can't call a spade a spade. Oh, it's awful. Oh, the hand-wringing. Oh, the pearls shall go unclutched. The Spanish fascist party, Vox, was there. But plus a bunch of other people who think that women shouldn't have rights, transgender people shouldn't exist, that abortion should be made illegal, that the death penalty should be brought back, that asylum seekers who are literally coming into the country against their will to work in slavery should be punished by being sent to Rwanda, which I assume is the new Serbia. Siberia. God, sorry, Serbia, didn't mean that. Sent to the new Siberia, which is Rwanda, which is at once a wonderful holiday destination and also a vital deterrent at the same time. Work that one out. So, yeah, other stuff happened yesterday, which was quite fascinating. First of all, we had a smoking ban, so anyone over the age of 2009? That's a hell of an age, Graham. No, anyone born after 2009 will now never, ever be allowed to buy tobacco products in a shop legally. That's going to happen. And good. I'm sorry. I know some people out there are going, oh, but what about free will? I don't care. Someone said to me, what about the massacres going on? What about the genocides? And I said, yeah, there's a genocide going on every year because 8.7 million people die of smoking every year. And a good 1.5 million of them aren't actually smokers. They're dying from secondhand smoke. They're dying from someone else's smoke. And over 100,000 of those people are children in developing countries. So if we want to talk about genocides, we want to talk about entire groups of people being wiped out, when somebody think of the smokers, I'm thinking of the smokers. I'm thinking of the people around the smokers. So, but who popped up in Parliament to speak for the first time? The first time this year to berate the government for bringing this bill forward to say that we should ban tobacco products for anyone born after 2009. Liz Truss. It's almost as though she's got a book to sell. Liz Truss, there's the walking car crash of politics that is Liz Truss. Anyway, she stood up and she rebuked the government, and there was a massive rebellion. Over half of all the Tory MPs either abstained or voted against it. I'll tell you who else voted against it. What's his name? That horrible little Lee Anderson creep who's Reform now apparently, so he's the one Reform MP. And get this, George Galloway. George Galloway voted with the most hard-right Tories, 60 of them or so, with the most hard-right Tories and Lee Anderson. He voted with them to try and ban against this ban on selling tobacco products. Tobacco, which is completely useless, doesn't do anything for anyone, wastes loads of farmland because you could grow other stuff, but no, we grow tobacco leaves over vast swathes of land that could be used for growing food. You know, why would we want to grow food when we can, when we can chop down the Amazon rainforest and grow our food in the Amazon rainforest instead? Yeah, makes sense. And also, the tobacco barons are so evil. It's off the charts. The tobacco companies, you do know that they routinely sue developing nations like Sierra Leone for bringing in health warnings on cigarette packets. They take them to court. These are countries that are struggling to keep their head above water, And these massive American, British tobacco companies are taking these third world countries to court, saying, no, you need people to smoke. And if you go to Indonesia, oh my God, you see like 6 and 7-year-olds smoking. It's terrifying. And that's something that the tobacco barons are like, about. Because they know that it kills the people that use it correctly. I mean, it's the only product that is legal that actually kills you if you use it correctly. Two-thirds of everyone who smokes will die of that. 2/3! It's just, the statistics are just off the charts. So yeah, I'm totally against it. And look, I've got a personal little beef here, okay? This is my personal little beef. I used to work in the student union in Manchester. In the academy, the Hop and Grape and the Serpent Bar when it was upstairs, and then the Solar Bar, was it, when it was downstairs? I've forgotten the name now. And I also used to work at Fab Cafe in Manchester as well. So that was about 4 years of my life. I worked in bars. And there was no smoking ban in bars at the time. And I would come home from my shift at maybe 3 o'clock in the morning, absolutely stinking of other people's smoke. Absolutely reeking of it. I couldn't wear the same shirt the next day because it stank so bad of smoke. And because at the time I might have had slightly longer hair, I would go to bed because I couldn't have a shower. I'd wake up all my flatmates. I'd go to bed and I'd wake up in the morning and my freaking pillowcase would smell of other people's smoke. And I'm like, this is disgusting. And don't forget, I'm saying don't forget because I don't know if you know this, but my grandmother died of lung cancer. So when I think of, when I the way like smoke is really evocative, it like brings back memories of places and things like that. So the smell of smoke brings back to me little 8-year-old Graham watching his grandmother wither away of lung cancer. So yeah, I know I'm slightly biased on this matter, but F them. I can't be more strong than that because I don't get demonetized. These videos get demonetized enough. But honestly, please don't side with the tobacco barons because they're evil. And you can tell they're evil because look who's supporting them in Parliament. Desmond Swayne, Liz Truss, Leanderthal, and George Galloway. Yeah, all the good ones. Anyway, should Suella complain to the ECHR, which is really funny. Thank you very much for the super chat there. Johnny Copperhead, you got a little animation. Yes, I've actually written that down in my notes. So going back to the Nazi conference. That was brought down by the EU. No, sorry, not the EU. The Mayor of Brussels, right? Because, you see, Brussels is the capital of Belgium. And Belgium is something, I've written it down here. Don't know if I spelt it right. It's a hard word to spell. Sovereign state. That's what I've written. Sovereign state. Because it's a sovereign state and can make its own rules and decide what it wants and what it doesn't want. And when it doesn't want a bunch of Johnny foreigners coming to their country and spouting a load of right-wing bile at people, I think they're well within their rights to do so. But who can Farage and Orban and Suella Braverman take their case to? Yeah, the European Court of Human Rights. The one they all want to get rid of. But there you go. They were kicked out of 2 venues, by the way. Previously, they were told that they can't have this convention in Brussels. You would think that would put them off somewhat, and maybe they could have it somewhere else, somewhere that's a bit more, I don't know, fascist-friendly, like Hartlepool. I don't know. But no, they kept on plugging away, and in the end, I think it was Claridge's. Was it an outpost of Claridge's that they went to? Okay, right, whatever. And anyway, so they started off, and Farage was halfway through his speech when the police turned up. I said, right, I've had enough of this. So look, they can whinge about cancel culture all they like, but let's face facts. They've cancelled people protesting peacefully against climate change. They've cancelled people from, like me, from being able to live and work around my own continent. They're okay. They're okay. Don't forget, the rich are always all right. I keep stressing this, but like Brexit doesn't affect them because they can afford the prices going up in food. They can afford to pay when they buy something from the EU, and suddenly they've got to pay this duty charge on it to the Royal Mail for some reason. And you're like, what? Why am I paying £50 on this? It was only £10 to buy. Yeah, indeed. This is something that we ran into years ago because I had an Australian girlfriend about 20 years ago, and she wanted to bring Australian wool into the UK and sell it. And we discovered quite quickly that it costs more for the tariffs, the charges, whatever, to bring the stuff in than it did to just buy it. In for what we were paying for the wool was way more than what we could, say we were paying £5 for a load of wool. We'd have to pay more than that in taxes, over 100% in tolls, charges, tariffs, whatever they're called, because it was coming from Australia, and we weren't part of a single market with Australia. But if we bought it from Brussels, then that would be no problem. Bought it from Paris, that would be no problem. Athens, I don't know if they have much wool in Athens, but the point being that they've taken away my rights. They've taken away, they've cancelled me in terms of what I'm allowed to do with my life. And then when they get cancelled, suddenly, no, this is a bad thing. This is a bad thing. Police overreach. How dare they? How dare they break up this peaceful protest? And it just goes to show the hypocrisy of the right, which is completely off the charts. YouTube, it's just YouTube chat being crap, says Duke Vengeance. I'm very sorry to hear that, Duke. Johan says the Nazi event banned by the mayor has been overturned by the Belgian Council of State because it was unconstitutional. It's his city. I think he should be allowed to do what he wants. Graham says, totally agree. Both my parents were smokers and both died at relatively young ages from diseases caused directly by smoking. Yeah, we need to just get rid of it. And you know what? Yes, people will still be able to get hold of tobacco. But here's the thing. People go, but people smoke more pot now than they will tobacco. And I'm like, okay. But the thing is, no one smokes 20 joints a day because they just fall asleep. Yeah, like you can't. I don't think it's possible to smoke that many joints a day. Because you would. I assume I've never smoked. I've never smoked weed. I've never smoked drugs. I've never taken drugs. I'm a bit of a Boy Scout. You wouldn't think this to read my biography or to hear me speak, but I'm quite straight and on the straight and narrow. I've never had a library fine. I get mortified if I get a parking fine. For God's sake. Anyway, until I got done doing 49 on the M25 a couple of years ago, coming back from Ukraine in a van. 49 at 2:00 in the morning, 49 miles an hour on an empty M25. I'll never get over that. That's my first parking fine in this country. That's my first parking fine. Sorry, not parking, speeding fine. Mortified, absolutely mortified. So I am a bit of a Boy Scout, but I assume that you can't smoke 20 joints in a day, whereas you can smoke 20 cigarettes in a day, and a lot of people do. And it's completely pointless. At least weed gets people high, I guess. Gets them happy. It makes them happy, makes them laugh and smile and giggle at stuff. Okay, could cause psychosis. Probably does cause psychosis. But at the same time, it's got some good points to it. Whereas cigarettes, there's literally no good points to it. It's just pure death. And one of the most interesting videos I've ever seen, and it might have been bullshit, I don't know, it was on YouTube. They were looking for the most radioactive place on Earth. And they were going around, they found, I think they went to Congo, they found the mine where they mined the uranium for the original nuclear bombs and that were developed by Oppenheimer. They went to Chernobyl, they went to the room where the firefighters left their clothes after they had been trying to put out the fire at Chernobyl after the meltdown in 1986. And then there was all these different places where they were just trying to find the radiation. Where's the most radioactive thing? I think they went to Marie Curie's old office in the university of wherever it was, and things in the office were still radioactive from the experiments that she conducted over 100 years ago. And yet the most radioactive place that they could find was in a dead smoker's lungs. And I was just like, what? Then I got a Geiger counter coming off the chart, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty bad. Yeah, at least 2 of the ingredients in the smoke that goes into your lungs are radioactive. I mean, no wonder it's carcinogenic, because obviously radiation mutates your cells and can cause cancers. Anyway, that's why you should stay out of the sun as well. Another top tip there, but you can't really ban that. Maybe you could ban sunbeds. They're pretty wrong. My mother was an alcoholic that relentlessly beats us children. Do I go around saying that we should ban alcohol? No, I don't. Says so Larry the cat. I think that if I've got a friend who died from drinking too much alcohol. So yeah, I do think it should be restricted. I don't think that I complained about it at the time in Australia that if you were already drunk, you couldn't go to another bar, which meant you couldn't do pub crawls. But thinking back, actually, probably a good idea. Probably a good idea to make it so people don't drink too much in general. I don't mind there being tax on drinking, but the big difference between drinking and smoking is that if someone is drinking near you, as long as they are going to drive a car, as long as they don't attack you, as long as they don't do something illegal, as a consequence of them being drunk or whatever, then it doesn't affect you in any way. Whereas if someone is smoking next to you, it is impacting your health there and then. You are literally inhaling toxic gas. It's like someone just standing next to you, just, I don't know, casually inhaling mustard gas. Hello, chap. And you can't help but smell it. So no, I don't think that it's a direct equivalent with alcohol, but alcohol is heavily regulated. You cannot drink and drive. I think the line for drink driving should be 0. Like, if you have had a single drink, you shouldn't be getting behind the wheel of a car. Full stop. I mean, people go, hey, I can drink 20 pints, me. And I'm like, oh, well done. That's great. But you should just do that quietly on your own, right? You don't need to get behind the wheel of a car and put everyone's lives in danger. But obviously, that's already illegal. So if you do something like drive a car when you're drunk, right, then that's illegal. That is massively illegal, and you'll probably end up in jail, especially if you hit someone. Whereas if you smoke and you're affecting the people around you, you're literally killing the people around you, then that's not illegal at the moment. And I think it should be. I don't think you should be allowed to smoke anywhere but your own home. That's it. No smoking in cars anymore, especially with the kids in the back. That's already illegal. So yeah, fine. I don't care. Life's too short to, if people want to have a hobby, that's great. But if that hobby is killing me, then not so great. We've got things to do. We've got a planet to save. Can't be dicking around, just growing leaves to give ourselves cancer. Graham, public enemy number 1. That's me. Ever seen the kidneys of alcoholics as Sir Larry the Cat? Not the insides of them, but yes, alcohol is dangerous. Like, I don't think it's not dangerous. But when they tried to ban alcohol in the United States, how well did that go? I think that drugs should be legal. I think that, to a certain extent, all things that you want to do to your body as an adult should be available to you, but at a price, but at, some sort of thing that you have to do. You have to go on a program to get hold of it or something like that. But the equivalence between alcohol, which is something that affects usually the person who's taking it and not necessarily the people in the immediate surrounds. You look at how many children die every year from passive smoking, especially in developing countries, especially in countries where people live in one room and they can't escape. There's no way out. Parents are smoking like chimneys and those kids are breathing it. You saw how asthma rates in cities went down like loads when the smoking ban came in pubs and clubs, and you think, hang on, kids aren't going into pubs and clubs. Why are asthma rates going down? Well, it's because parents could smell how horrible it was coming into their house, smelling of stale smoke, and so they started smoking outside. A lot of them. Not all of them, obviously. But I think that, it's horses for courses. And if someone wants to shoot up some heroin in a clinic or something, I'm like, okay, fine. As long as you don't get behind the wheel of a car and it doesn't affect me. How is that going to affect me and my body? I'm not inhaling the heroin, If someone wants to smoke opium or wants to smoke dope or wants to smoke tobacco around me, I object to that. I think there should be places that they can go and do that thing. But when it comes to tobacco, we have to break the link because no one starts smoking in their 40s. Like, literally, I mean, maybe 1 or 2, but like not many people start smoking in their 40s. Most people start smoking as teenagers. And that's a huge problem. So if you break that cycle, it should only take 10 years. A lot fewer people will start smoking. As the numbers of smokers have gone down this century anyway because of the smoking bans, and it's disgusting. Anyway, we're going to have to start selling hash brownies again, says Super Tiny. Yeah, fair enough. Cannabis should be mandatory for a few people. All right, mate. Mandatory cannabis. All right. In England, it's illegal to serve a drink to someone who's drunk. The landlord can lose his license, a hair license. Not often enforced. That's actually true. Yeah, people drink or turn to hard drugs to deal with childhood trauma. That's from Super Tiny. Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. I mean, I I don't think that the people using drugs should be criminalized. I think that's disgraceful. I think that's wrong on every level. I don't think that people using drugs should have to go and deal with a drug dealer in order to get their drugs. I don't think there's going to be too many tobacco dealers. There might be a thing. I don't know. But I think you need the quantity needs to be a bit higher when it comes to tobacco for the amount that you need to get the nicotine that you're addicted to or whatever. But better mental health services. It's not a zero-sum game. We can get rid of cigarettes and have better mental health services at the same time, which I hope we do. Thank you, Plum. Talking about cannabis. Yeah, fine. If someone has a hash cake, I guess, next to me, that's fine. I just don't want to smell the smoke. I don't want to smell cannabis because it stinks. It smells like burning plastic to me. It's horrible. But, some people like it. But fine, do it, but away from me. Like, I don't want to. And people go, no, but I'm smoking outside. It's fine. It's bullshit. Like, someone's smoking a joint at Glastonbury, you can smell them a 100-meter radius all around. I mean, that stuff disperses into the air like crazy. And usually it's mixed with tobacco as well, which isn't great. Hash cakes all the way, because then you eat your hash cakes, you get high, I guess, and it doesn't affect me. I'm just bothered about me. Like, I'm sorry, I know you might find this is very selfish of me to say, but as long as it's not affecting me personally, you can do with your body what you want. You see, that's my view on it, right? And if you need help, you should be given help, but we're not, because the government is too busy protecting statues rather than women or people in general, because statues, yay, and banning people from protesting against the government destroying the environment, which is affecting me. And the fact that Lake Windermere had, 6,000 hours of sewage discharge in it last year. 6,000 hours. Meanwhile, the shareholders in United Utilities that was pumping all this shit into Lake Windermere were given, over 400 million in dividends. I mean, I want to make a case that not all rich people are evil, and I'm sure they're not, but enough of them are. Anyway, right, moving on. So Graham's PMQ today, what are we thinking? That's from Michael Warner. Oh my God, there's so much that's happened, isn't there? You could definitely go in there about there's a Starmer question, putting the questions to Rishi Sunak. I mean, the big thing this week has been the Rwanda bill has been knocked back again by the House of Lords. So we've got a bit of ping pong going on. There was 4 amendments that they re-voted on to say, yes, we definitely want these in there. So that's gone back to the House of Commons and it'll be debated, I think, this afternoon after Prime Minister's questions. The Tories are determined to get it through because it'll be their one policy win if they get one person to go to Rwanda. They're panicking so much, they're actually offering to pay money to people to go to Rwanda. It's like, do you want $6,000? Can you go to Rwanda? We'll just get a photo opportunity of you in front of that camp. That camp where all the women and children are going to be concentrated. No, don't say that. Don't say that. Just because they're civilians who've done nothing wrong and you're putting them in some kind of detention centre. No, it's not a detention centre. It's not. It's some kind of camp. It's not a camp. Okay. All right. Whatever you say, matey. But yeah, they're determined to get these planes off the ground so they can have the photo opportunity to say, oh, look, we got someone into Rwanda. Yay, vote for us. But I think it's too little, too late. So I think Starmer's probably going to go in on that. And everything that Titchy Richie Sunak's going to say is going to be, but what about Angela Rayner? What about Angela Rayner? She was on the electoral register for her house, and she spent most of the time in another house. Oh, my God. Breaking news, I'm on the electoral register. Well, I was in the electoral register in Liverpool for years, even though I was traveling the world. I was backpacking around the world. I lived well, I didn't have residency or anything, but I was in Panama for the best part of 3 years. I was still registered in Liverpool, even though I wasn't actually in the house. They're not a big thing. Lots of people do it. It's just a thing that, you need a residence. You need somewhere for your bank statements to go to when you're not. What does it matter? Nothing at all. But the idea that that Angela Rayner owes $3,500 between 0 and $3,500 in capital gains tax that she didn't pay. But now it turns out that she probably didn't have to pay that, and so they've moved. They've segued. They've sashayed over to this idea that no, she put down the wrong address on the electoral register, and that's a huge crime. And it's like, no, that's not really. That's what lots of people do. You can actually, if you've got 2 addresses where you have posts going to, you can be registered on 2 electoral rolls at the same time, so long as you only vote in one of those constituencies. That's the law. That's the way it is. That's our electoral system. And this is the same Tory party that wants to make it so you haven't been in the country for 50 years. That's fine. You just tell us what the last constituency you lived in was. You don't even need an address there. And you can vote in the upcoming general election. Because, help. Vote for the Conservatives, says the Conservative Party, which it knows is dying and fighting against that. Look, we've only got 1 minute left, so I'm going to have to be really, really quick doing the papers. I'm sorry if I upset any smokers out there. Oh, there you go. Johnny Copperhead, £2. United Utility dividend, £420 million on 300 million profit. Wow. Well, someone's enjoying the end of the world, aren't they? Maybe I shouldn't have slagged off cigarettes so much. I might have got more super chats today. Don't say things like that, Graham. You'll upset your audience. Anyway, moving on. The Sig-Free generation. This is the Mirror about the MPs backing this new bill. No one born after 2009 will be able to buy cigarettes. Good. I'm completely supportive of this. Who's not supportive of it? Liz Truss, Nigel Farage, George Galloway. I don't want to be on their team. What can I say? Leadership hopefuls defy Sunak over smoking ban. This is not many members of the cabinet voted against it. I think there was 5 or 6 members of the cabinet who said, no, we're not having this. But it wasn't a whipped vote. It was a free vote. So it's not that much a rebellion. If it was a 3-line whip, then it would be a huge rebellion. It would be a big news story. This isn't much. And there's Farage, the same picture I used on my thumbnail. Look at him crying. Look at me. It's reminiscent of the bit in Breaking Bad, Ozymandias episode where what's his name? Walter's lying in the sand and he does that face. Anyway, that's what you get for being a Nazi. Farage. Liz, Plucky Star Lettuce is part of evil London elite. This is something that Liz Truss said yesterday. She said she was asked on the BBC about the lettuce, and she said it was part of a plot by the London elite. Oh, bless her. She's an idiot. And then the Times, Murdoch's made a phone call. Police look at multiple allegations over Rainer. So a dozen police officers are now investigating Angela Rayner and where she lived 18 years ago. It's all right. There's no murders. There's no rapes. There's no sexual assaults. There's nothing bad happening, actually. Everyone's just getting on, Nothing to investigate. Nothing to see here. Let's use our police resources to investigate and not a crime again. And then this story from the Daily Mail, the victory for the bravest, the nuttiest head teacher in Britain. This is Birbal Singh, who has won a High Court victory after this claim that the situation was, there's a school, it's a secular school, half the children are Muslim, some of the children started praying during lunch break. They said, oi, stop that, stop praying during your break. This is a secular school, you're not allowed to. And although I can't stand Catherine Birbal Singh at all, I think she's vile. I think she's one of the most horrible people in Britain, and she's in charge of a school, which is very concerning. When you sign up for that school, it says it's a secular school. So I'm kind of, on this matter, not for reasons of Islamophobia, but just reasons of, well, that's what you get when you sign up for the school. It's like sending your kid to a Catholic school and complaining about having religious assembly, or this is what you expect from this school. You're going to be baptized again and confirmed and whatever nonsense they do in schools. I don't think that schools should be religious at all. I think we should follow the French model, separation of church and state entirely. And this is some way towards that. But at the same time, there's a lot of Islamophobes jumping on this, going, stick one to the Arabs, eh? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking, that's not very nice, because I know, and you know, that if the problem was that the British Airways stewardess wasn't allowed to wear a crucifix, that would be on the front cover of the Daily Mail. Oh, why are our religious freedoms being suppressed by this evil corporation? Being woke or something. Yeah. It's one of those weird news stories where it kind of like, I get why the judges judge that way. But I hate that the fact that the people who are celebrating are mostly scumbags. Victory for all schools, says the Express. So the Express and the Mail going for the Islamophobic angle by the looks of things. Sunak gives Netanyahu a warning from world leaders, which I'm sure Netanyahu is going to listen to it. Tory divisions exposed as Sunak's smoking ban moves a step closer. So it's gone through its second reading. It's got to go to the House of Lords now and then come back to the House of Commons one last time, I think, before it goes into law. Top Iranian aide warns the West over total war. This is the fear of World War III, which is why we have to take little wins like Nigel Farage and his mates being kicked out of a venue in Brussels. Why we have to take those wins. We have to take them where we can because everything else is so goddamn depressing. Financial Times with the Powell warns U.S. inflation taking longer to hit targets. Talking of hitting targets, that's a cruise missile there on the beaches of Lake Galilee, is it? It's that's quite disturbing. It also looks like a bit like a sandworm from June. And then a strict heads prayer time win. That's from the Metro. And then we got yesterday's news. We don't want yesterday's news. Well, it is yesterday's news, isn't it? Oh, look, there's the intro again. Forgot to turn it off. Right. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to read a couple of things from you before I go. The lettuce was just a diversion. There's a cheese factor. It most certainly wasn't pork or cheese. The Times jumping on the Rayner bandwagon, showing no irony whatsoever. Our press is disgusting. Absolutely. Let's hope they ban Christmas stuff in secular schools now too, says Jez Hunt. Very good point. It's an Easter egg. Don't call it a spring festival egg. They're trying to ban Christmas. And it would be funny if, like, just as an absolute linear line that you could draw from this court case to the banning of Christmas celebrations in schools. And you go, well, you were celebrating it a few months ago, Daily Mail, Daily Express. Oh, yeah, I think it should do that. How about no religion in schools, says Duke Vengeance? I agree. I don't think we should have religion in schools. I don't think we should have religious education as a separate GCSE. I think it's madness. Speaking as an atheist and someone who, I'm not that fond of religion. I'm not as militant as I used to be as a younger man, but it makes me feel a bit uncomfortable that some people out there are like, I would murder you, Graham, but I'm not going to because my God said it's wrong. And I'm like, so if God didn't say it was wrong, oh my God. But there you go. Bye, Darren. Bye, Graham. That's from Frank. Bye, everyone. Graham, I'm only addicted to my handsome ginger. Oh, thank you very much, David. Religion should have no place in schooling, says David. And Truss also supports the orange one, heaven forfend. Oh, yeah, Truss wants Trump to get in. Which, considering the anti-heroic failures, is that what you could call it for Liz Truss? Let's just call it miserable failure. Everything that Liz Truss touches turns to shit. So the hope is that her saying, yeah, I back Trump, means that Trump won't win. Fingers crossed, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back at 12 o'clock today for PMQs, and we'll be back again at 6 o'clock tonight for The Intersection, hosted by our own lovely Rachel Harris. So please look out for that. We'll be talking about the Cass report today. So if you want to hear more about that and get into it and get, the good and the bad and the ugly of the Cass report and its implications for trans youth and for trans people in general, please join us for that at 6 o'clock tonight. On the knocker. And until 12 o'clock, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all of the wonderful chat. Enjoy our new dramatic music at the end. And if you do want to add your name to the dramatic music bit at the end, please become a YouTube member by pressing the join button, which is maybe under here, maybe it's over here, maybe it's there. I don't know where it is on your device, but press the join button and become a member of this channel, or go to patreon.com/Labour Social and become a patron. But until next time, I'll say thanks for watching. I'm going to head over to the Discord server now for a bit. If you want to join me over there, you're very welcome to. If you are a member or a YouTube member or a patron, you're very welcome to do so. And until then, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.